Hey, what's going on, everyone? Sly here with D. And man, I love Mark Schlereth, man. I've always liked Mark Schlereth. As a kid, I remember asking him a few things as a kid, and he actually responded to me. This is before social media, man. So I've always had a soft spot for Mark Schlereth. But he's out there going and talking about Brock Purdy and how he was always on that bandwagon. So this is what he had to say, and he kind of makes jokes about the whole situation about game manager. Let's check this out real quick.
I think every guy on their team at one point or another mentioned something about how Brock Purdy managed to get me that ball on the sideline, and he managed to get this throw, and you know they were going in deep. But the last 2 weeks, Mike, and you and I have had this conversation, and we've had it on this podcast. The last 2 weeks, I think, when it was nut cutting time, Brock Purdy loaded the team on his shoulders and drove them in critical situations. And really interestingly enough, and I've talked to you about this, San Francisco has not been able to have a lot of fourth quarter comebacks. Why? Because they're not built that way. They're built to operate their offense. They're built to run the football. Every run they have has a corresponding play action pass that marries perfectly to it. So it looks the same. They create these opportunities for their guys to catch the ball, you know, and it may be a 6-yard throw, but when they catch the ball, they've got 8 yards around them with nobody. And then they turn into, you know, Deebo Samuel turns into a freaking fullback. George Kittle is a running back, you know, Juszczyk, same thing. Like, they have that ability. They are not, we're going to drop back and dissect you with precision route running. It's not what they do. And yet the last 2 weeks, they've had to make plays like that. They've had to go back to, hey, we're a drop back team. And Brock Purdy has been the difference maker. He's made some throws in that Green Bay game. He made that in-cut route to Jennings over, I think it was over Savage. I mean, it was a perfectly placed ball, big time throw. He made a couple of those throws late in that game on a game-winning drive. And this week, his ability to avoid the rush, to have the pocket presence, to scramble on several third downs and make big-time plays with his feet, to make some big throws in there as well. You know, the big play over the top to Ayuk that Detroit just bounced off their helmet, that was a big-time throw. The touchdown to Ayuk between two defenders was a big-time throw. Like, in nut cutting time, that dude has shown up. And so you could say, you know, if you want to continue to say game manager, you'll be like game managing yourself right to the what happened mode, because he'll get you. That dude's a trained killer now. I've been really impressed with, you know, I've liked Brock Purdy from the get-go, but what he's done the last 2 weeks, kind of off schedule, what they've had to do to win football games, I thought he's been exceptional.
All right, man. So he's on board with Purdy. He did a lot of Niner games this year, so he was right there up in person. What do you think about him saying, hey, man, you can't really call me manager anymore?
This is a guy, it's weird because he played, because he was like before my time, so he played
offensive tackle.
But man, he knows his thing about quarterback. This is the same guy, I don't know if you remember, but I always crack up about him because he's the same guy that was with Tim Tebow, remember?
Yes,
and he's all like,
with Skip Bayless,
are you sure you're left-handed? Like, he was so horrible. This guy threw a spiral and it hit the ground and within 10 yards. I was like, are you sure you're left-handed, buddy? And so this guy always had like, he knows what he's talking about with the quarterbacks, because he'll talk about a lot of quarterbacks and what their best mechanics are and what they do good on the field. But I always think about what he was like with Tebow. But the fact that with Brock Purdy, when he was like, all the Niner fans, not fans, but all the players, they're all giving him after the Detroit game, like the McCaffrey, the Debos, and Trents are like, man, he really managed that game for us. Basically just saying like, Brock Purdy, man, like he was like the game changer that day. And they were kind of going back to like the woke media, because if you saw the game with Detroit, man, like Brock Purdy was making some plays. The biggest one was where he got out of that scramble with the offensive line broke down, and he had to scramble out, and he made that throw to Juice for the first down, and everybody was like, damn, that was like a hell of a play. But he gave Brock Purdy his props because, man, everyone's just been bashing him all year just about him. They don't want to give him his dues because he's the last pick. He doesn't look like your typical, like, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen as far as physique. He's, like, within, like, 6 feet tall. Doesn't have the biggest arm. But, man, when it matters, this guy makes the throws, and he doesn't panic. And his IQ, I think, is what separates him from everybody else, because you saw, like, I believe, was it Green Bay, where he was telling Kittle, like, stay there, because they were motioning, they did like a incorrect play call, and so he's like, oh, the play's gonna break down, but just stay there. And then boom, McCaffrey had that touchdown, and the way he was just able to adapt in certain situations, like, it's crazy to see, like, on the field, because just the way that his IQ is on the field, and how he gets these players in position and helps deliver the ball and then gets the score up. It's crazy to watch. No other quarterback that we had since, like, the GOATs we had, man, and we went through a lot of fair shares of quarterback. He's one of, like, the best ones we had. And so it's cool to see him talk about Brock Purdy and, like, all the good things that he does and all the game changer plays that he does, because, man, I've been saying it, man, this guy gives us the best shot to win the Super Bowl. And as a fan, right now I'm 0-2 and watching it. Because we lost to Kaepernick, we lost to Jimmy G. This guy, I'm telling you, he gets our best chances to win it, man.
Yeah, and Mark Schlereth, this dude, he knows his football, he knows his quarterbacks. For all you young cats, back in the day, he would always go at it with Skip Bayless, because Skip Bayless swore that Tim Tebow was the man. And Mark Schlereth, you know, he was a Denver fan. He obviously played for Denver, so he really was interested in Denver. And he would be like, dude, Skip, are you dumb? Like, Tim Tebow is not going to lose to a damn Super Bowl. Even though everyone was in love with Tim. I like Tim Tebow.
I like him too.
He's a good person.
Yeah, he's a good person. Yeah.
But as far as quarterbacking, man, like, dude, Tim, remember when he would throw into the stands and stuff? It's like, dude, okay, this guy, he's not a quarterback. Like, he's not going to lead you to a promised land. And he would always debate him, and he would go off. He would be like, dude, Skip, you're crazy. And I know quarterback play. I played with John Elway, one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. Like, he's not it. And he's like, we got to get Peyton Manning. They ended up getting him, won the Super Bowl. So he knows exactly what he's talking about. So he's not someone that's just saying, oh, I like Brock Purdy because, you know, he's the hot flavor of the month or anything. He's just telling the truth, man. Like, this guy, like you said, he's the only one out of these quarterbacks that we've had can actually give us a chance to win the dang Super Bowl. Like, the only one, man.
And, like, not to cut you off, but, like, to go, because I didn't understand it back then, because I remember when Kaepernick, when he went on, like, that Super Bowl run, there was, like, a lot of, like, analysts that were critiquing him, and I'll be like, what the hell? Like, this guy's a cannon arm, because remember all the players, like, man, he throws, like, a spiral, and it's, like, it hurts, like, when we catch the ball, because it's, like, so hard. And then the analysts would be like, dude, he's not a Super Bowl winning quarterback. And I'll be like, what? Like, that doesn't even make sense. Like this guy is actually winning this game, and, like, he can run the ball, but it's because he doesn't do, like, the little things as far as, like, the check down, throwing it within, like, 10 yards. He was always going for, like, the Super Bowl throw, like within, like, deep throws, like the Hail Mary throw, or he was just trying to run it himself whenever he got, like, nervous on, like, the rush. And also was, like, leaning a lot with Frank Gore at the time. And he would also lock in. Remember, he would always, like, he always had that receiver. First year was Crabtree. He was always locked in with Crabtree.
The second year was Bolden.
And second year was Bolden. And so he never was, like, the guy that was dumping into different receivers. And I would, like, think back then, like, what the hell? Like, why would the analysts, like, say that? Like, he's up winning his games.
Yeah.
But then you saw it. Once he didn't have those weapons, he wasn't able to adapt. And he's when he talks about Brock Purdy, he talks about, like, in certain situations, like, where he doesn't have certain, like, Green Bay, he didn't have Debo, man, but he still got Juwan Jennings his touches, Kittle his touches. The next game, he was able to get everyone else. He got same people, got McCaffrey more involved. He got Kittle, Debo his touches. Ayuk, man, with, like, that crazy catch at the end with the 50-yarder and then his touchdown. Like, this guy, man, the way he's able to facilitate, the way when plays break down, he's able to adapt and change it up. Man, this guy, like, this is IQ. The game is, like, crazy. And then so the fact that he touched on it is like, man, this guy, like, he is, like, a winning quarterback, and people need to give him his dues, because these are not fluke numbers. Him breaking the franchise numbers, him having, like, one of, like, the highest passer rating, leading the league in, like, touchdowns and, like, less picks. It's not a fluke, man. He's been playing, like, one of the best quarterbacks, and there's a reason why he was in the MVP conversation. And just people, because he doesn't look like your typical, like, I guess superstar like Tom Brady looking quarterback, people don't want to give him his dues.
And those last years, actually, Mark Schlereth was talking about how Kaepernick would lock on.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, he's right, dude. And when these guys talk, like, I listen. Even I know a lot of fans out there, Niner fans, didn't like Sherman after the whole NFC Championship game there about the sorry-ass receiver Crabtree. Me, I personally was laughing. I was like, dude, he's right. He made a damn play on us. I never hated what Sherman said. Sometimes the truth hurts,
Yeah, it does.
And Schlereth is like, dude, that always he tells the truth. He's like, I'm going to tell you what's going on, like what the truth is no matter what. And that's what I like about it. And that's why he even talked about after the game. Yeah, those guys were talking, yeah, what a game manager after that game. All the Niner players were like joking around, like, because everyone keeps saying this dude's nothing but a game manager. So it was cool to see, man. I was just pumped up hearing them talk, and I listen to these guys that know what they're talking about, watch a lot of film. Those guys are the ones that I'm listening to, not the dudes that do other stuff like podcast and like don't watch the film like Nick Randall. They're funny and all, that's entertainment.
Yeah.
But come on, dude, these guys aren't watching the films like these dudes like Mark Schlereth and them that actually know what they're talking about, that do commentating, and then they're watching the film. Like even Greg Olson that says he watches a lot of film. He's doing commentating because he's doing the game. So I mean, I love it, man. I think that the smart dudes out there that know football know that Brock Purdy is a stud, and Mark Schlereth, man, he's one of them. So,
yeah, and then again, like just top it all off, just for him, just to like give him his dues, man, just because not a lot of people out there that want to see Brock Purdy succeed and give him his props. So it's always like nice to hear somebody actually break it down, not just like Brian Clark, who's going to be flip-flopping like, oh, I was wrong, like he had a good game. Like, no, this guy was like actually like laying out facts. Like, listen, like the way that this guy just composed, like they always like brought up like in the Baltimore game, man, this guy threw three picks, and Logan Brown was like, man, he didn't stop throwing the ball.
Yeah.
This guy was just gunslinging it. He wanted to win the game, and that's what you want in a quarterback, a guy who just like, he just wants to win, and he doesn't want to be the spotlight. He would just want to take everyone's shine. Nick Bosa after the game was like, man, he was like trying to like pump him up and like, man, it's crazy, like, what you're doing. He's like, no, man, it's like, it's all of us.
Yeah.
It's all of us.
Exactly.
He's like, it's what we all do. And with Brock Purdy, man, it gives us the best shot to win it, just because he's honestly like a real leader. He doesn't want to take all the spotlight away from his players. He loves all his players. He wants everyone to succeed. And just for him, just to get everybody involved, the Debos, Ayuk, McCaffrey, the Kittles, him making plays when the play breaks down, how he was able to get juiced that ball. And I'm sure in the Super Bowl, man, he's going to be making more of those plays. And so just for him, just to touch on that, Mark, just for the way that he broke it down, just like how Brock Purdy, man, just the way he's been leading our team, and he's been doing what Kyle Shanahan wanted, because in the past, a lot of quarterbacks, they weren't able to do what Shanahan wanted, man. You saw like and there's a reason why they're not a quarterback today. And so for Brock Purdy to take on that challenge and then just like not be a fear of the moment, man, it's awesome to watch.
And then you see after the game, you see Kyle Shanahan, he's just like looking at Brock Purdy and all like, wow, like, dude, like, you remember those pictures that you saw? And even when they gave the hug to each other, he was like, dude, like, I've never had a quarterback like this at all.
Yeah.
Even Matt Ryan, who was the MVP, a lot of stuff that Brock Purdy does, Matt Ryan couldn't do that. He couldn't run for 25 yards in clutch moment. He was like a statue. So this, I know it could sound like blasphemy, but this guy could be the best quarterback Kyle Shanahan's ever had. And he had Matt Ryan, who was a Pro Bowl MVP.
Yeah.
Of the league. But I mean, let's be real, Brock Purdy was that close. He was one game away from being the MVP of the league too.
Yeah.
So I mean, hey, it's not that far-fetched. I get it. Matt Ryan, he comes from prestige, coming out of Boston College, the #1 pick in the NFL draft, and then you have another guy, Brock Purdy, the last pick in the NFL draft. So I get it. What people were like, there's no way that's true. There's no way Brock Purdy could be better than like Matt Ryan.
Yeah.
But to me, shoot, man, he's on his way.
And man, they gave Matt Ryan even his props, man. They don't talk about they just talk about like when he choked, but they don't talk about like how he got there when he had what is that freaking they had Julio Jones, but they also had that running back Freeman. Yeah, and so he had like a lot of offensive weapons that game, and so they don't talk about like how he was a game manager, man, because he didn't go by himself. And I never seen any quarterback, maybe closest is like Patrick Mahomes, but I never seen like really any quarterback that like didn't have any weapons. You know, like it's a team game, and so that's why it's crazy that they just singled this guy out, and that they're like, well, he's only here because of that reason. It's like, so is every other quarterback, man. They all have like weapons too. It's like, what, you think like it's just a one-man show? It's not the NBA. And so it's just crazy to watch. But good on Mark, just like the way he broke it down, and he's not a flip-flopper like a lot of these analysts who just like just want to just to hate, you know.
Yeah, but that's what we got, man. Let us know what you think about Mark Schlereth, his thoughts on Brock Purdy. Like, comment, subscribe. Talk to you next time. Peace.